Hello, everyone. We are here with the Garden State Film Festival. We're here also with Commissioner Deputy Director Susan Kiley. We're here with Brian Sheehy, who's a recovery peer specialist, recovery coach. And Ming is here with us. So Daniel has a film in the Garden State Film Festival called My Promise to PJ. And, we're just thrilled to have you. And we wanted to know a little bit more in the background of how everything came to be. How did you start making this film and all of the emotional pieces that go along with it?
Well, first, let me say I would be remiss not to mention, as a filmmaker, what an honor it is to be in such a prestigious festival. The Garden State Film Festival, which has been running for nearly 20 years now, is really one of the cachet festivals in the state of New Jersey. So to have had a film get accepted into this festival was a big thrill for us. So thank you for that. I will say a lot of people, and I think Brian will be able to attest to this, wow, that's great what you do for this guy, or that's great what you do for this girl, whatever. Forgetting that in my case, the 12th step in the program that I subscribe to suggests that having had a spiritual awakening, that we reach out to the addict or the alcoholic that still suffers as part of my program. So rather than try to, like a lot of people will say, man, that's so great, I need to tell you this is part of what I do to stay sober. The film is a little above and beyond my program. And let me explain. Barbara Jean Constantino, the mother of PJ, was my brother Alex's first girlfriend in 7th grade. I go that far back. I know these people since I'm 5 years old. His PJ's father, Patrick Raynor Sr., is the first boy to ever kiss my older sister, Beth. So, I mean, we know these people, grew up with them right around the block. And as I learned in my failed attempts to stay sober, one of the things that was missing was the service model, was that 12th step. So I made myself available on social media. I said, it's not going to prevent me from getting work to say that I had a cocaine or alcohol problem, because everybody knows that I had a cocaine and alcohol problem. I had some very big arrests and things that happened to me. And, when your friends' names are Charlie and, and Emilio and, and I go down the list, we're not hiding anything back in the early 90s with what the antics that we pulled. So I decided to out myself on social media and offer my help to help anyone that was suffering. And so Barbara Jean reached out to me and said, PJ is in bad trouble. PJ was facing charges multiple times. I went on an odyssey with this kid. I put him in the program or in various rehabilitation centers in lieu of going to prison 3 times. The 4th time, I had to fly to Wilmington, North Carolina, and actually meet the judge. He was done. He was facing, I think, 10 years now. The crimes had escalated, and as it happens in anything in life, the buildup, the consequences were getting worse. So this time, I got the judge to agree to have him go into a program in California for 2 years in lieu of going to prison. And on that trip back to California from court, I asked PJ to write a bucket list of the 10 things he always wanted to do, that if he ended up in prison or overdosed, he wouldn't get a chance to. So he writes his list, and I pulled my list that I wrote in 2006, and we had one match to run with the Bulls in Pamplona, Spain. So I said, I'll tell you what, if you get 2 years sober, then I will run with the Bulls with you. I will take you to Spain. When PJ got 3.5 years sober, he ended up working for the facility. He met a girl online, went out with her. She pulls out the kit. He thought, it would be okay to go one more time, laced with fentanyl, overdosed, and dies on the first shot. So I never got a chance to take him. And the anniversary of his death came by the 2nd time. And, I've lost a lot of guys. I mean, take a look at New York City, New Jersey, some of the, all the way up to Massachusetts. The epidemic has hit us really, really hard. I mean, this heroin thing is out of control now. We lost more people last year than we lost in the Vietnam War. So anyway, obviously we're in a critical situation. So 2 years go by of his death, and I'm not handling this well. It's really eating at me. What could I have done? what should I have done? Why is this kid gone? I mean, one of the best human beings I have ever known was PJ Raynor. So I decided on February 7th of 2019 that I was going to go on a crash diet and train. I lost 57 pounds in 5 months. I took his ashes and flew to Pamplona, and I ran with the bulls in the section of the bull run called Dead Man's Curve, which is the most, where would two drug addicts decide they're going to go run? Of course, we're going to run in the stupidest section of the course that you should run it. So I ran with his ashes in hand. And then when I got to the stadium, I spewed his ashes, fulfilled my promise, and left him there in Pamplona, Spain. I did this movie in order to help other people, but in particular, I thought it was quite interesting to give a voice to those who were left behind. It's not natural for a mother or a father or a wife or a husband to bury their kid. That's a tough pill to swallow when you're a parent. And I wanted to give Barbara Jean and Patrick a voice. I hope that it will help someone. I hope that someone that's going through that will be able to watch this film and say, yes, that's how I felt. That's how I feel. And that it will help heal them. It's also, coincidentally, in 30-something years, the first time myself and my three brothers are all in the same film. That's never been done before. Probably because it would only take somebody like myself to be able to direct all of us at the same time. Because I'm a nice guy. They're idiots. So, trust me, that was a task. I had to actually at one point call my mother and tell my mother, Billy promised that he was going to do this, and now he's saying he doesn't have time. And my mother called Billy, and then Billy called me back and goes, did you call Mom and tell her on me? And I went, yes. Yeah. I have 1 day to shoot this. You have to come. And he went, I can't believe you called Mom. All right, I'll be there in 20 minutes. So, you know, I hope that in a festival as big as Garden State, and with the problem at the level that it's at, we might even too be able to find some select places after the festival to go show it, maybe in a high school or in a college, or to invite those people through the program, some of these programs that we subscribe to, and certainly that your husband works with his clients. But maybe we could do a couple of screenings, and try to help some of these people that need to either raise money or raise awareness. I'd be willing to do that. That'd
be great. So
That's awesome.
We have a program called the Keys program, which is a sober high school. And I did send you an email with giving them scholarships so that all of the students can watch the film as well during the film festival.
It's great.
It's amazing.
Well,
talk more
about why don't we add on to that? Why don't we obligate right now that we'll go to the high school and show the film at the high school?
Okay.
That's fantastic. I'm listening to you talk about creating some awareness and thinking about Monmouth County in particular. Mm-hmm. When I came to the county, everybody used to say to me, we don't have enough services, we don't do enough for people that have addiction problems or behavioral health. We had a ton of stuff, but nobody knew about it. Mm-hmm. We just weren't communicating. So we created an organization called Monmouth Acts. And that's a partnership between the public entities that are out there delivering services and the county government. And together, we started communicating what we do, how we do it, reaching out to all these groups to be able to help more people, impact more people that are really struggling. And I was just on a call last night with a youth group from the Tigger House. Tigger House was founded, as you know, by Tigger was a young boy who overdosed, and his parents started the Tigger Foundation. But all these kids are on there, and we were talking about a movement called the Stigma Free movement. And I'm thinking about you talking about parents and the stigma surrounding them. They lose a child to this, nothing they ever expected, but now they're alienated by their friends. What did you do wrong? What could you have done differently? Not to mention the stigma around the person that's asking for help. So we're trying to create a stigma-free initiative across the entire county and the state so that people that do need the help are not afraid to come ask for it.
That sounds great. Hey, what is Governor Christie's involvement been with you guys? Have you had much exposure with him? I know he was on the president's task force, and he's very interested in supporting stuff with addiction. Have you had any exposure with him and his support?
You know, a couple of years back when he was the governor, we did, but we haven't had any recent communication with him on this. I don't know if I don't even know if he's still actively involved, to be honest with you. We've
Yeah.
been focusing more on the programs that we have right inside the county.
I'll reach out to him. Chris is a friend, and he's very interested in continuing his support of things that go on in New Jersey. So
That's great.
Fabulous.
That's great.
put down there our notes we'll talk about.
That's great.
Super.
And he's been a supporter of the festival, too.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Hey, listen, we need as much help as we can get, right? The overdose rates and the suicide rates are all up because of COVID and the changes we're going through, and we'll take all the help we can get.
But when you think about the numbers and the staggering numbers, I mean, comparing how many people have died in the last 10 years to even COVID, I mean, addiction and overdoses outweigh that times 10, or 7 or something like that. So, and yet there still isn't a single federal dollar, not one, being spent to help these kids and help our people. So will it take it, and at its projection now, that means that we're going to lose, close to 100,000 next year, 140 the year after that. Then when it gets up to 250,000 a year in 5 years, that means that we're going to be, we'll have lost 3 million. I mean, that's an epidemic of massive proportion. What's it going to take, before we're going to see some real help? Centers to put these people in, and a way to slowly flatten it out a little bit, and then try to get ahead of it and decrease those numbers. But at the rate we're going now, it could easily, with COVID, double next year. It could be, 150,000 kids. That's crazy. But listen to this statistic. This one will kill you. 10 years ago, overdosing was not in the top 20 causes of death in the United States. It wasn't in the top 20 10 years ago. This year, overdosing was the #1 cause of death if you're 50 or below years of age in the United States. And we're not getting any money to help. It's so hard to fight with both hands tied behind your back. I mean, I'd love to talk about some legislature and get somebody like a Cory Booker, or somebody who I know who would jump out at this and try to do something different. Because Cory, I went to Washington and spoke with, and he's all about trying to help New Jersey, for sure.
Funny you mentioned that. There is legislation right now called Mainstreaming Addiction Treatment Act. It's the MAT Act. And basically what that is an act that we're trying to get passed on a national level. It is a bipartisan bill that has many, many sponsors. The bill will give universal access to medical treatment of overdose or of addiction. There's a drug called Suboxone. There are others. Most people know what Suboxone is. If you're a physician and you're prescribing for overdose or for medical treatment of addiction, you can prescribe all kinds of things, but you cannot prescribe this Suboxone, which helps people come off heroin, helps them recover. It's a medically assisted treatment. They have to go through extra training, extra documentation, to the point where they say it's not worth it. And they're not prescribing because they can't. They have to go through all of these steps in order to be able to prescribe this. So this bill would take those steps away and would let more doctors have access to the ability to medically treat heroin addicts. And it's it's sitting there, and we've got to do something to push it through.
And so 2 things that you may not know, I'm not sure, but I want to put them out there when you bring that up. When you go into the facility that I send people to, you are given usually Suboxone if it's an opiate problem. You're given a full pill on Monday, a full pill on Tuesday, a half pill on Wednesday, a half pill on Thursday, a quarter pill on Friday, a quarter pill on Saturday, and within 1 week you are drug free. The second most common thing that we find in every single opiate addict is they're addicted to Suboxone if they're not using. You can get addicted to that drug. It's supposed to wean you off, but it is not a long-term remedy for opiate addiction. And I want people to know that. I know people that take Suboxone. Well, I took Suboxone for 2 years. That's not what Suboxone's for. So I'm all for using it to get them off that hard week, 10 days, whatever it's going to be. But not beyond that. So I'm not a proponent beyond 10 days of Suboxone.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's a lot of debate about how to use Suboxone. The point, though, you go on Suboxone, you're alive.
Right.
You're alive. You might have an addiction,
Yeah.
but you're still alive. You can treat it.
And it's also treating the whole person. I mean, I know, Brian, years ago you met with a lot of hospital groups and whatnot. Brian had a great idea about an umbrella program. So exactly what you were talking about, Daniel, when you have to support them where they are. And once they go through a program and then they come out on the other side, there needs to be organizations.
Right.
I don't want to embarrass you by talking about your great idea, but so once they leave here, then you need to be picked up there. If you need housing, you can go here. So Brian created a beautiful umbrella program that nobody picked up with, but it makes a lot of sense because you can't just be exited one program and then left flat and then go back into your usual routine, which is why I think the sober high schools that we have are great, because it removes the student from their usual friend circle. They go to Brookdale Community College to go to high school. It's great. It's a beautiful campus. But, approaching that whole person, I think, is the common ground here.
Yeah, agreed.
It was, I'm in recovery, first of all. I came in 95. God seemed fit to keep me around. So just these things that we've seen, Daniel, like they've upped the ante on the battle here. The war it's not the same as when I came in. These kids are facing, opiates and the fentanyl and everything. And I worked at a state facility called New Hope for a little while. I used to see these kids come in, and the saddest thing was seeing a kid who was like 20 years old and asking him, you could do the screening and say, all right, how many rehabs you been in? And you gotta go, 8. 20 years old, 8. And so something's broken, and my idea, it's more of just, and these ideas come from, being sober, because you're with other sober guys and you're kicking around, hey, like, man, this is getting crazy, What can we do to, adjust the support network that these kids need? So one of them was, just to have a kid when he comes in, and then when they leave the rehab, that's where the drop-off is. Some of these kids go back to the same environment. Mm-hmm. They go back to the same neighborhood and everything. If there could be this like little link that could hook them up into the recovery neighborhood, what's going on there. And that's where the whole recovery coach thing came out of. So the peer recovery, the recovery coach, then his job is just link him into the local community. He's not a sponsor, And as you know, when you're a sponsor, you get, I do anyway, I get vested in guys, You get tight and you get, it's a very personal thing. Recovery coach is, more of like a coach. Okay, these kind of want to go here. This is where you go. And they know people in the recovery industry, the recovery community. But the idea of a recovery coach is that he has to be, you got to be sober to be a recovery coach. And your idea is that, so this is maybe one of those links that's been missing that will help. I don't know, but we just got to try everything from legislation to, what you're doing is unbelievable, the awareness you're creating. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much.
Very much.
Like, and, the idea.
I agree with you, bro. One of the things we did, we have a series of rehabs called SOBA, S-O-B-A. So we went to Rutgers University, ironically, in Jersey, and we said, ask one of these parents whose kids is ripping it on Adderall or doing whatever they're doing, if they'd like to blow that $50,000 that year and pull the kid out of school? Or do we open a rehab with PHP and sober living on the campus of Rutgers? And we did.
Yep.
So they can stay in school, and then they come back to a dormitory of just sober people.
That's great.
People that go to meetings reflections in the morning, a meeting at night. We drug test them, but it's beyond just that intensive rehab period.
Right.
And we escort them to and from class. So it's been very successful. And I think it's going to take off in some other university. But we've been doing it there at Rutgers now for like 8 years now, I think. 8 or 9 years.
Because I spoke with Keith Murphy a few years ago when Sheriff Sean Golden, we went to Monmouth University and they had the heat map showing about where all of the problems are in Monmouth County. But at Brookdale, I would love to get something started over there. So I'm going to talk to Keith Murphy again soon to see how we can kind of work together with Rutgers and start something at Brookdale.
Excellent. Yeah, excellent.
Great.
I watched the trailer, and it looked like you were injured during the run. But I couldn't tell whether it was serious, whether it was not serious.
You're going to have to come on Saturday, March 27th
Yeah, I
from
guess all right.
7:45 p.m.
Yes, I'm going to have
5
to.
o'clock to 7:30.
I will tease you with my answer.
Yeah.
Okay.
I still today remain broken.
Oh,
and
no.
will probably never be the same as
Wow.
a result of what occurred in Spain.
Oh,
Wow.
no.
All right. Well, I will be there to watch it.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's great.
But you did a great job. Knowing, if you had GoPros and different cameras, like the way that you and your editor worked together to create the documentary was really great. It really brought us on your journey. So the whole audience is able to feel that as we move along with the story.
Oh, that's great, man. I'm so happy that you liked it.
Yeah, it's awesome. Wait, I cry every time I watch it, so awesome. So yeah, the film is playing at the Asbury Lanes in Asbury Park, New Jersey, 5 p.m. to 7:30 in person, but don't cry because it's also going to be online. That's right. We're live streaming all of the films March 24th to the 28th, 2021. That means you can sit at home in the comfort of your own home if you don't want to come out and buy the multi-pass so you can see all of the films. One ticket allows access to 300 movies, and it's amazing, and we're going to be there. But we're going to be there live in person at the Asbury Lanes. Everything is to the COVID-19 state mandates. You have to wear your masks and all that good stuff. But we're super excited to have you, and hopefully maybe when you're down here for the festival, we can hang out at a shared universe in Asbury. Show you around.
Sure, we will. Let me tell you that my daughter Avis is 13, and she's quite the little fashionista now, 13 going on 28.
Yeah.
And so she said to me, she goes, "Are they going to have a red carpet at this?" I said, "They'll probably have something that you walk up, step and repeat or whatever." And she goes, "Oh, well, then I'm coming."
You are such an inspiration. I thank you so much for being committed to helping others the way you're doing with this.
You know what? There was a group of men in Los Angeles, and they picked me up when I was really down. I mean, I didn't think I was going to make it down.
Mhm.
And had they not, and they didn't need to, they didn't have to. They were, the guys whose names I know I'm allowed to say: Dallas Taylor, the drummer for Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and Bob Timmons, who was a guru in the rock and roll business of helping, from Steven Tyler to David Bowie. I mean, some of the biggest names of men I know who have allowed me to say their names that are in the program. So I'm not outing anybody right now.
Mhm.
But these men came to my home and visited me in rehab and didn't quit on me even when I failed. So I could never pay that back. No matter what I do, I don't really deserve, when I think of what I've done in my life, addiction wise, I don't really know how I made it.
Mm-hmm.
The level that I was hurting myself. I have a tab to pay. I do. I have a karma and a tab to pay. And I'm told that this is what I'm supposed to do to stay sober. So I'm going to get off this and I'm going to pick up all the cotton from the stuffed animal that the dogs ripped up. And then I'm going to pull some stuff out because I have the honor now be able to go pick up my children from school and
Okay.
be a single dad and take care of them, which is an amazing state. Because the father that I was on my 3 older ones, when I was having addiction, I was a really lousy father. I wasn't accountable. I wasn't present. I get to do all that over again. And I get to do it right now, and I get to live a loving, giving life of service. And I'm really happy to be able to say that.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Daniel.
you. Yeah.
Appreciate you laying out the way you are.
Yeah. My Promise to PJ is playing at the Garden State Film Festival Saturday, March 27th, 5 p.m. to 7:30 at the Asbury Lanes. Tickets are limited seating. There's 120 people that are allowed at the venue. So as soon as tickets go on sale, they're going to go like that.
I'll buy the.
Right.
Yeah.
So remember this now, the 2 fingers to the side,
Yeah.
right? You're all going to adopt this when I tell you what it is. So this in the 1960s meant
Peace,
peace. Winston Churchill,
victory.
victory against the Allied forces. This was the Scots and the Irish during the times of like Braveheart, in the medieval time, when they lined up against the French. When the French captured them, they would cut their 2 fingers off so they could never draw a bow again and fight them in the battlefield.
Wow.
So when the Scots and the Irish lined up against the French, they'd stand there and they'd go like this, which means I'm in the fight. I got both my fingers and I'm coming, baby. So when I do this, whenever I'm in for a cause,
Yeah.
I let them know, this Scotch Irishman, I'm in the fight, kid.
Us too.
We're going to do something. Whenever I take a picture, whenever I do, I throw up the deuce.
That's
I'm
it.
in the fight. So we're going to come to Garden State.
Yep.
We're going to do some special things in Jersey to give back and help. And we're going to be in the fight.
I love it.
Look forward to being in that fight with you, bro.
Yeah.
Me
We're
too.
already in it, brother. Come on.
Yeah, man.
All
Awesome.
right.
Thank you
God
so
bless
much,
you guys.
everyone. You too. Have a great day. Tell the girls we said hi.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And we're excited. So March 23rd to the 28th is the Garden State Film Festival. We start off at Cranford, New Jersey, at the Cranford Theater. And then the 24th to the 28th, we're in Asbury Park. So for more information or for tickets, visit gsff.org, and we'll see you later.